Welcome to the Texas Women in Music podcast, where we celebrate extraordinary women who are shaping the vibrant music scene in Texas. Each episode, we dive into the stories and sounds of these talented artists, exploring their journeys, inspirations, and the unique flavors they bring to Texas music. From country and blues to indie and pop, we showcase the diverse talents and voices driving innovation and creativity in the Lone Star State. Join us as we spotlight these trailblazing women and their contributions to the rich musical heritage of Texas, one captivating conversation at a time. Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Texas Women in Music podcast, the show where we shine a light on the voices, stories, and artistry of women shaping the sound of Texas. I'm your host, Shauna Rose, and today we're thrilled to welcome a rising star whose blend of heartfelt songwriting, authentic country roots, and powerful storytelling is captivating hearts across the Lone Star State and beyond. Our guest is Beth Mihm, named the 2024 Upcoming Female Songwriter of the Year and the 2025 Radio Top Pick by the Texas State Songwriters Association. With a voice that's been compared to Dolly Parton's light sweetness, Beth is the real deal. She's a country music artist, a proud rancher, and an advocate for Indigenous rights. And she's joining us today while traveling back from Nashville, fresh out of a round of recording sessions. Hailing from just outside Fritch, Texas, Beth has been turning heads with tracks like Here I Go, Rain Our Way, White Horse, Neon Moon, and Jesus and John Wayne. You're going to love hearing her story. Please help me welcome Beth Mihm. Hello, Beth. Thank you for being our guest today, especially while traveling.
You bet. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. What inspired you to pursue music?
Elvis Presley.
Yes.
Yes. Whenever I was little, I spent a lot of time playing outside, and climbing trees and things like that. And I'd sit and I'd sing old Elvis Presley songs to myself or old gospel songs. And I just loved music ever since I can remember, being little bitty singing. And I just always gravitated towards music.
Who are your biggest musical influences? Who are your biggest musical influences?
Definitely Elvis Presley is one of them. Patsy Cline, Bob Wills, Hank, Shania Twain, Reba, Dolly, all the good classics.
Yes. 90s and 2000 country?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. How has your background or upbringing shaped your sound?
I think it's definitely given me a unique sound. I'm from a really small town of ranchers and farmers, just right outside of Amarillo, Texas. It's called White Deer. And, I grew up in a small school, and we all from that town have a pretty good draw. And growing up, I'd always been around cattle and horses and things like that, and spent a lot of time kind of off by myself. So I think the things I write about and the style I have was shaped by that, just listening to classic music and being, outside working and things like that. I'm pretty unique in that sense, I guess.
Your sound blends tradition with something fresh, right? So how would you describe your musical style?
My musical style is definitely like a vintage country with an Americana twist on it.
Okay.
I do write all my music that I sing, with the exception of doing Neon Moon. That was obviously a cover. Brooks and Dunn did a great job with that one.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you have any rituals or habits that help you stay creative?
Absolutely. I really enjoy doing songwriter retreats or traveling to, like sometimes me and my husband will get away, for an unplugged weekend at a cabin or something, and we'll sit and write music. And when I'm writing, I try to definitely unplug from the rest of the world and just be by myself and get inspiration from a current moment I'm going through. So that has a lot to do with my style. It just kind of depends on what I'm going through at that moment, what the outcome is of my writing.
Yeah, that retreat sounds lovely. Yeah, you gotta get in the zone and can't have your phone pinging you.
Oh, absolutely.
Beth, you've already had quite a year between recording in Nashville, getting national attention, and being honored right here at home with awards from the Texas State Songwriters Association. It is clear your songwriting is striking a chord. Let's talk a little more about your creative process and what drives the stories behind your songs. So, one of your standout tracks is Jesus and John Wayne. What inspired that song and what message do you hope listeners take away from it?
That song's actually about my husband when he was little, and he wound up lying to his parents. He wanted to be a bull rider, and his dad told him that he absolutely could not be a bull rider. And so Rusty figured out that if he talked his dad into letting him show cattle, he would be kind of at the right place at the right time scenario. And his dad would drop him off at these shows and let him show cattle. And then he'd tell him, well, I'll be back later, this afternoon or this evening to get you. And so he'd go show his cattle, and then he'd already have his entry fees paid up so he could go jump on bulls. And then by the time his dad got back, he never knew he did it. It's also about just all of us being young, and back when time was a lot slower and easier, things were good, and just all the great memories we all have as kids. And, just listening to that song is super nostalgic for people. And I hope it gives them hope to maybe unplug more and put all the hectic things that we've integrated in our lives away and take the time to really enjoy their family and just spend that special time with their family and their friends. And I know that that's what's more important, than I call it doom scrolling on Facebook.
Yeah, check the phone at the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us the story behind Rain Our Way.
Rain Our Way is about the wildfires that we had last year in our area of Texas in the Panhandle. My husband and I have got a ranch that we live on, and the fire came right through our ranch. And luckily, we still had our home, and the fire got up just a few feet of our house, and it went right past our house. But it got all of our pasture for our animals, for our horses and things. And we didn't lose them, thank goodness, but it burned all of our fencing, and it just was a huge mess. And it burned down our neighbor's house. And so we couldn't go home for a few days. And by the time we got back home and the fire department let us back into where our ranch is, our neighbors were actually standing in the middle of a big pile of rubble where their house used to be. And it was an older couple, and it just broke my heart because I seen them crying, and it broke my heart. And I started crying, and I told my husband, I said, what are we going to do? And he looked at me and he said, well, we're going to build it back better than it was. So in some of the lines in that song, in Rain Our Way, that it states that God's going to make things better than they were. So even if you have a mishap in your life, that God can definitely turn it around for the better and make a huge blessing out of it. And you may not see it at that moment, but, thank goodness through his mercy, we can make things better and take us to that next step in life. And that's kind of what's happened to me this last year. I've had thing after thing happen to me, being successful. And right in the beginning, I kind of felt like I was white knuckle driving a little bit because it was really fast and really big, and things just took off bigger than I could have ever prayed for or imagined. And it's just amazing.
So tell us about winning the 2024 Upcoming Female Songwriter of the Year and the 2025 Top Radio Pick. I mean, what did these honors mean to you? It had to have been such a huge rush.
Oh, absolutely. I had no clue when I went to the competition that they were going to pick me for Upcoming Female Artist of the Year. And so when I got that, the picture that's on our website of me with my hands up in the air and I'm like screaming, I had no idea. And so that was just the best moment ever for the year of that. And it just meant a lot to me because I was, fairly new at songwriting, and for it to be my first big year out with my own band on the road, because I had been traveling with another band previously for 2 years. So it was my third year out on the road, but my first year with my own band. So it just was it was a great year for a lot of first things that were huge and major. And Our song Here I Go that just recently came out a few months ago, it hit number 100 the first week it was out. And that just was crazy that that happened. Right now, currently, I'm sitting at number 10 in Europe with Here I Go on the entire country music chart. And so it's just insane how big that got. As far as the top radio pick of the year, I was completely not expecting that whatsoever. When we were in Fort Worth and I got that day, just a few hours prior to that, our pickup had gotten broke into at our hotel and they stole all of my equipment. So when I went to the competition, I did not have anything except for my dulcimer, and they had stolen everything except for my husband's guitar and my dulcimer.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I I had a really, really bad, rough morning. And so when I got there, I was asking people to borrow their equipment, and I was so upset. And I got on stage and I sang and everything, and I felt terrible after what had happened because I'd never had anybody steal from us before, and it was terrible. But anyway, they wound up picking me for top radio pick of the year, and so that made me feel a lot better. I was still upset that we had all of our stuff stolen, but we were able. The community came together, and we had some people reach out to us that helped us, and it just it was a great morning. It was kind of a bittersweet morning, I guess, but it that made up for it, and it was just amazing, and the people were all amazing, and the amount of support that we have from the Texas songwriters is amazing, and everybody just kind of pulled together and helped and loved on me and made me feel better, and I just am so thankful for them.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean that's a God thing right there too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I've learned that here recently that the music community is so passionate about what they do and they're so passionate about cheering other people on and helping other people. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super important for all of us, especially the girls, the women to support each other and to be on the sidelines cheering the other, ladies on in all of their success and everything that they're doing. And us all just, it takes a village for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So after you got all your equipment back, how do you prepare for a live show?
Well, every single week, I make it mandatory that my band have a full practice at least once a week. So we'll practice for a couple hours. So we do that every single week prior to our show. And then the night of the show, like before the show, we'll get everything packed up and kind of fine tooth comb everything, make sure everything's ready and accounted for. And then we'll load up and go to the show the next day. We're always there a few hours early to set up and do our sound checks and things like that, and just make the whole entire process go as smoothly as possible. Whenever we try to always do our sound check a couple hours before the show, and then right before the show we'll go in the green room for about an hour and just kind of all discuss what's going to happen, what our set list looks like. Most of the time we're playing a 3-hour show, and we have shows every single week, from January all through currently, I think October, November, and we're booking already for next year. We're definitely busy, busy, busy. We have shows every single week. Right now, we're touring in 4 different states, and next year, we'll be touring in 6 states.
Wow. Like a finely oiled machine.
Organization is key. I have two different planners, and my husband has a planner, and we all make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you had any interesting or funny fan interactions?
Yes, I've had good ones and bad ones.
Oh, do tell.
So, my best one that I had all year happened in Fritch, Texas. There was a little girl that I like to her, she didn't realize who I was. I was at a a barbecue and somebody said something to her and she's probably, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 years old, if that, and sweet, sweet little girl. But somebody told her, "Oh yeah, that's Katie Beth over there." And I look across the table and she just breaks down and starts bawling her eyes out. And she completely went into fangirl mode in front of
Oh,
everybody. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's so sweet. Well, her mom came up to me and she said, sometimes, kids pick on her at school and she listens to your music and it makes her feel better. And and so I grabbed, I was like, can I give you a hug? And she's like, yes. And she started crying even more. And that just everything I do was for that moment, all the sleepless nights and traveling, just to know that you're making a difference. And especially that these kids are listening, it melted my heart. And it was so important to me. And I hope she hears this and that she knows who she is and that she's listening. And that was just the sweetest moment of my whole year, was that moment, because I realized that in these times that I feel like I'm, super tired, or we're traveling crazy, hours and things like that, or maybe that nobody's necessarily listening to me. They're listening, and I want to be a good influence for these little girls that are listening to my music, and not ever be a bad influence, in what my message is through that. So that was great for my good moment. For my bad moment of the year, I was in Amarillo, Texas at a show, and I get completely done with my show, and this older woman walks up to me and she goes, "Wow, Katie, that was really good." And she's like, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I really like what you're doing, but I think you need to re-record your whole album." And she said this in front of everybody. I cannot make this up. And the guys just got really quiet and looked at her, and everybody got kind of quiet, looked at her, and I was like, "Excuse me, what, why?" And she goes, "Well, I just think the whole thing was terrible. It was just terrible. And I think you need to redo it. And I just didn't like it." And then she asked me later on in the evening, she just was super rude and completely offended me in every way possible. And I was trying to be sweet about it and kind of brush it off. And then she asked me about my song White Horse. She said, "So if I was going to sing that song on social media, like, is there any legal thing?" And I'm just sitting there getting more offended because that song's about my dad. And, it really rubbed me the wrong way when she did that. And I was in shock that somebody would have the audacity to do that to me in front of everybody at a concert. But I just told her, I said, "Well, excuse me, I've got to go to the bathroom." And I just walked off. But
wow.
it really bothered me that she said that. And I was thinking, wow, this record's a great record. Like, we're charting with this record and everybody loves it. And that was the first negative thing I had. And it was the only negative thing. Let me put that on there too, I guess. That's the only negative feedback I've heard. But I realized that evening that not everybody wants you to make it and not everybody's happy for you, you know?
Right. And some people are like crabs and they just want to keep you down and try to kill your fire because they're miserable, you
Oh,
know.
absolutely. Well, I found out later on from the venue that they had a problem with that lady with other bands kind of being, you know, like that. So I didn't feel so bad after they told me that, but I was a little taken back by that moment. Like, are you really doing this to me right now?
Yeah, you're not our only target, so.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to emerging artists?
Don't take no crap from nobody.
Word.
Yes. I would say, well, that for sure. All jokes aside, but if God has really called you to do music and it brings you happiness, no matter if you're going to do it professionally or not professionally, just do it if you love doing it, and don't worry about what other people say. If you know you're not the best vocalist, that's okay. Go get vocal lessons if you can. If you are not the best guitar player, go get lessons. You can always, always teach yourself if you're not the best at something. And even at the end of the day, if you've done a bunch of lessons and people still don't care for you, or, you never know. You may be amazing and people love your sound. One thing I always tell new people coming into this industry is we already have a Dolly. We already have a Reba. We already have one of me. So you don't need to sound like anybody else because you have your own sound. So I think the hardest thing is finding your own sound and hitting the pavement every single day, the grind, not giving up. When doors get shut in your face, you keep going if it's really what you want, and you knock on other doors. And for every no's, for every 100 no's, you'll get a yes at some point.
So you're an advocate for Indigenous rights. As an advocate for Indigenous rights, can you share how that advocacy shows up in your life and your work?
So I am not per se in a specific organization. It's just kind of across the board. So I am Native American. My mom is Ojibwe. Our tribe lives up by Canada in Michigan, like around the Mackinac Island area. But there are so many. We have the highest abduction rate or human trafficking rate or murder rate out of any woman in the United States is Indigenous women.
Wow.
And that's just incredibly sad. It should never happen to any woman. But the fact that it's really high in our culture is something that needs to be brought to light. People need to be aware, people need to be safe. I really wish that these women were able to get maybe help with like self-defense classes wherever they live, and maybe self-defense people would reach out to them and help them. We have kids, and I always tell my kids, don't go anywhere by yourself. Always have people with you. It's just not safe, and things like that. But I will do anything in the whole wide world for missing and murdered Indigenous women and the MMIW movement, and be an advocate for them and be a voice for them using my platform. Being a singer, I do have some publicity. So if that can help that, us bring awareness to that, and that they need help in those areas. A lot of times we see there's a lot of groups like on Facebook, especially, that are constantly, almost on a daily basis, posting photos of missing women and girls and men too, or like young guys in those places like Montana and the Dakotas and Michigan and Oklahoma. You're seeing these places, and these people are being presented on a flyer, and then because of either tribal law or federal law, there's almost this gray area where it almost feels like people just don't go look for them because they hit a legal area where they can't go into, or it's just a vast place, and it's almost like they just disappeared.
Mm.
And there's nowhere to look for them, and there's nowhere to go, and things like that. And it's just incredibly sad. And whenever I was 15 years old, I was abducted by two men, and I did not see my family for almost 10 days. And so by the time the sheriff's department and the state troopers found me and took me back home to my parents, I was in such shock. I didn't know what was going on, really. And I mean that, so after that, when I grew up and, am singing now and things like that, and I just, it's so important because I realize that I am one of the lucky girls that got to go home, that they found in time. And, for a long time, I almost kind of had a survivor's guilt feeling because I see, these aunts and cousins and sisters and moms that, some of them have kids, or, they are someone's kid and they go missing and they are never found, or they find them, and the worst thing ever imaginable has happened to them. And it's not fair. And it's not fair on any level. But if I can do anything for that organization or bring light to that or bring awareness, where maybe kids are more careful when they go out and they're with their friends, and or maybe parents, tell their kids, no, I'm sorry, you can't go out. You have to stay home because it's not safe, or whatever, just safety things and things like that. It's kind of a deep rabbit hole of an issue, but it's definitely important to me. And that is why, because I am a survivor of that. And I would do anything if it means bringing home one person even.
Yeah, that is so powerful. I am so sorry you had to go through that, Katie Beth. Good for you for using the pain that you've been through to help others. I mean, it is very powerful to hear how your music and your advocacy walk hand in hand. You're using your voice not just to entertain, but to uplift and inform. And, that kind of passion really shines through. So let's switch gears a little.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Have you? I'm being 100% transparent.
oh, and that's a beautiful thing because like you said, people need to know about this stuff because
Absolutely.
I had no clue.
Yes, ma'am.
No clue at all. Um, wow.
It's not always easy. I mean, it's definitely not easy to talk about. I feel like I'm in a better spot now than I probably was, 10 or 15 years ago talking about it. But,
Right.
and I mean, like I said, we have kids. And so that the reality of that ever happening is so scary for me. So I'm definitely a helicopter mom with my children because of it,
Yeah.
and, anyway, but yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible. So, if you weren't a musician, what would you be doing?
I would be a doctor.
Okay.
Whenever I was in college, I was finishing my 8th year of school so I could go to medical school. And I decided to take a semester off, and I was just exhausted. I mean, at that point, because I was keeping my grades up, and I was a single mom at the time to my 3 kids. And I just was like, okay, I feel like I need to take a semester off so that I can gear up for what's about to come. And within that semester, I met my husband, and we got married. And then I thought, um, I'm gonna be at like 23 hours a semester at this point, and that's not fair to do right now. So I'm just gonna wait for a while and see what happens. And then my husband took me to a concert, and the people putting on the concert wound up picking me up as their female vocalist of their group. And then after that, I was on the road for 2 years. So I completely, it was funny. I joke about it now because God was like, oh, that's cute. You want to be a doctor? Just kidding. You're going to be a singer. You want. So not what I expected at all. And, we just, I think we're what, a year and a half now? 2 years. Yeah, 2 years now with my own band. And things are just on fire, going up I mean, it's just insane.
Wow, what a ride.
Yeah, for sure.
What's a surprising fact about you that fans might not know?
My husband is pointing at my toes. So
Do you have webbed feet?
yes, ma'am, I do have webbed toes. And so that's a fun fact nobody knows about me. That I have webbed toes. Yes, ma'am.
That's funny. I went to school with a kid that had webbed toes too. It was yeah, excellent swimmer. So what's currently on your playlist?
On my playlist, I've got actually mostly it's my friends.
Okay.
I try to, Celeste Marie Wilson. She is great. We've got Howard County on there. Chaser Crouch, Bree Bagwell is a super good friend of mine. She's so sweet. And who else? L. Peyton Riley. Yeah, she's great too. L. I think I even had some Manson on there.
Okay.
Oh, and Blink 182. We were listening to Blink 182 on through Oklahoma City.
Ah, yeah. So what can fans expect from you in the next few months?
Well, we just finished up in Nashville recording a new album. So at some point, we're going to have those releases. So you're going to have new music. We just got an app, and everybody, it's not on the app stores. So if people go to the link on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok in the bio, you can click on the app and download it. It will put a tile on your home screen. So it's got push notifications. So it will tell everybody where our concerts are. They can get on there, watch our videos, exclusive content. Everybody that gets on there right now and subscribes to it is going to be entered into a free merchandise giveaway. So that'll be great. And we've still got a lot of tours coming up this summer in Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and everybody can follow our tour schedule on our website or our app. So we have a lot coming.
Yes, and so I'm
Lots of-
assuming that the app is the best place for people to follow your journey.
Absolutely, because they can catch exclusive content on there that they can't see anywhere else.
Oh.
And like I said, the sweepstakes. And we got some good free merch bags we'll be giving away. And our tour schedule's on there. Any music that they want to purchase or download on like our website, they can purchase merch on there that we have 2 sets of merch. We have merch that you can only buy at shows, and we have merch that you can buy on the website and app. So it just depends on what you're looking for or what you want, which one to go to.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Katie Beth Mihm, thank you so much for sharing your time, your music, and especially your heart with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad that I got to do this.
Yes, and we can't wait to see what's next for you. To our listeners, you can catch Katie Beth's music tour schedule at www.katiebethmihm.com and on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Music, Bands in Town, Spotify, Amazon Music, Sonic Bids, Deezer, Instagram, TikTok, Clapper, Lemonade, and on the Katie Beth Mihm app. Follow her on socials, support her music, and keep your ears open for what's coming next. This has been another episode of Texas Women in Music. I'm your host, Shauna Rose, and until next time, keep supporting local, keep lifting women's voices, and keep the music playing.